Welcome to College Briefing. The content of the briefing includes Laguna Pueblo teacher to attend State of the Union in support of pay parity for tribal educators. Thursday's time schedule. 2 Alabama fertility clinics say they will resume IVF services after bill to protect doctors passes. Watch, Texas Wildflower Center's resident great horned owl recently laid 2 eggs. For social platforms, the outage was short. But people's stories vanished, and that's no small thing. Laguna Pueblo teacher to attend State of the Union in support of pay parity for tribal educators. Yahoo! Physical education teacher, Trevor Riley, will be attending President Joe Biden's third State of the Union address as a guest of U.S. Rep. Gabe Vasquez. Riley is attending to provide support for the Parity for Tribal Educators Act, in the hope that her presence will push lawmakers to consider tribal educators. Thursday's time schedule. Associated Press. The article provides a schedule of various sports games happening on March 7, including NBA, NHL, and college basketball games. 2 Alabama fertility clinics say they will resume IVF services after bill to protect doctors passes. Yahoo! 2 fertility clinics in Alabama that had suspended IVF services following a court ruling that frozen embryos are considered unborn children are expected to resume treatment. Alabama lawmakers have since passed a bill protecting doctors and clinics that discard embryos as part of routine IVF services. The bill offers civil and criminal immunity to healthcare personnel and clinics that provide IVF treatment. However, critics argue that the legislation does not clarify whether frozen embryos created via IVF have the same rights as children under state law. Watch, Texas Wildflower Center's resident great horned owl recently laid 2 eggs. Yahoo! Athena, thought to be the most famous owl in Texas, has returned to the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center in Austin, to nest for the 14th year. The great horned owl is nesting in a conspicuous spot, above the entrance to the center's courtyard, and the event is being live-streamed. The center's goal is to give people access to the intimate moments of wildlife, according to its website. For social platforms, the outage was short. But people's stories vanished, and that's no small thing. Associated Press. The recent social media outages on platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and Threads have shown that social media platforms are more than just entertainment, according to a report by AP. They are also a major part of our connection to other people and our communities, and are where we tell and listen to stories. The report also argues that social media is where we do human in this day and age, and that it is almost impossible for many people to think about their lives and communication without thinking about social media. Spectacular fields of yellow mustard draw visitors to Northern California's wine country. Associated Press. The planting of mustard plants in Northern California's wine country is an annual tradition that marks the beginning of spring. The plants suppress the growth of worms that can damage vines, while also providing nutrients to grape plants and preventing erosion. Some people are against the practice, however, as mustard plants smother native flora and can provide tinder for wildfires. California's wine producers are able to use mustard plants as a natural deterrent to worms and to break up clay soils. Beavers add Neil Davis as offensive line coach, recruiting coordinator. Yahoo! Neil Davis has joined the Bemidji State football team as the offensive line coach and recruiting coordinator. Davis previously worked as a graduate assistant offensive line coach at Wake Forest, where he helped the team to an 8-win season in 2022. He also assisted in the development of 4 All-ACC selections and 2-time Campbell Trophy semifinalist Michael Juergens. Prior to his time at Wake Forest, Davis was a graduate assistant offensive line coach at Eastern Illinois. He played college football at the University of Findlay, where he was a 4-year starter at center and earned multiple honors both on the field and in the classroom. Weight loss drugs like Wegovy are meant for long-term use. Some patients want to stop. The Toronto Star. Millions of Americans who have lost weight using popular obesity drugs like Wegovy are facing uncertainty about what will happen if they stop taking them. In clinical trials, patients who paused the drugs regained most of the weight they had lost. Some people are experimenting with stretching out doses, taking the medication intermittently, or stopping and starting again if needed. However, doctors stress that obesity is a chronic condition that requires ongoing management, and the drugs were designed to be taken continuously. Some patients have reported side effects and cost as reasons for pausing the drugs, while others simply want a break or to discontinue the medication. International Women's Day is a celebration and call to action. Beware the flowers and candy. The Toronto Star. Women around the world have marked International Women's Day with protests and demonstrations for equal pay, reproductive rights, education, justice, decision-making jobs, and other essential needs. The global event, first officially recognized by the United Nations in 1977, is commemorated in different ways and to varying degrees in places around the world. Demonstrations took place from Tokyo to Mexico City this year, with the global theme being Inspire Inclusion. International Women's Day is a global celebration that began in the US with the American Socialist Party in 1909. A German feminist later pushed for a global commemoration during an international conference of socialist women held in 1910. It was observed on March 8 after a massive protest in Russia on February 23, 1917, that led to the country's eventual withdrawal from World War I. The UN began commemorating the holiday in 1975 and the General Assembly officially recognized it 2 years later. International Women's Day is an official holiday in more than 20 countries, including Afghanistan, Burkina Faso, Ukraine, Russia, and Cuba. Fewer fish and more algae? Scientists seek to understand impacts of historic lack of Great Lakes ice. Yahoo! Scientists are investigating how iceless winters in the Great Lakes of America could impact the world's largest freshwater system. If winters continue without ice, the lakes could warm up sooner in the spring, which in turn could lead to more frequent and larger blue-green algae blooms. Fish populations would be affected by the changing temperatures, as they depend on plankton, which would likely die. Consequently, fishing quotas would need to be tightened and prices for fish would rise. Furthermore, less ice could result in longer fishing seasons, but winter storms could damage nets and destroy whitefish eggs. In NIL world, Nick Saban wondered whether maybe this doesn't work anymore. Yahoo! Nick Saban, former Alabama coach, has blamed the new age of player empowerment for his decision to leave the college. He mentioned some of the changes that the new age of player empowerment had brought to the game. "I thought we could have a hell of a team next year, and then maybe 70 or 80% of the players you talk to, all they want to know is two things. What assurances do I have that I'm going to play because they're thinking about transferring, and how much are you going to pay me?" Saban said. Portugal's anger over corruption and the economy could benefit a radical right party in election. The Independent. IKEA's recent billboard campaign in Portugal has highlighted the country's political corruption scandals ahead of the general election. The billboards advertised a self-assembly bookcase with the tagline, "A good place to stash books." Or to stash €75,800, the amount of cash police found on bookshelves in the Prime Minister's office during a corruption investigation. Corruption has become a high-profile issue in the election, and this public outrage could further fuel a rightward shift in European politics as a radical right populist party gains support from those disenchanted with mainstream parties. Fresh directions, more funds, what new chair Kim Williams wants for the ABC. The Sydney Morning Herald. New ABC chair Kim Williams has stated that he would like to lead audiences in new directions as he begins his term in the highest role at the national broadcaster. Williams, who was appointed by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese in January, also stated that he planned to lobby the government for more funding and dismissed claims that the broadcaster had lost its way. Williams' comments came after former host of the 7.30 report Kerry O'Brien claimed that the broadcaster had drifted more and more close to a commercial model under former chair Ida Buttrose. Human-caused climate change fuels hottest February on record, all-time high ocean warming. CBC. February 2024 saw Earth break global heat records for the 9th consecutive month, according to the European Union Climate Agency Copernicus. Sea surface temperatures were the hottest ever recorded, exceeding the previous high from August 2023. February was also the warmest winter month ever recorded. The last month not to break the record for highest global temperature was May 2023, which was the third hottest on record. Copernicus figures show that for the past 8 months temperatures have exceeded 1.5 C above pre-industrial levels. Jack's Bach Night, Jalen Barr lead Flagler over Augusta in Peach Belt Conference Tournament. Yahoo! The Flagler College men's basketball team has avenged 2 years of getting knocked out of the Peach Belt Conference Tournament by Augusta University by beating the Jaguars 81-70 on Wednesday in a quarter-final game at the USC Aiken Convocation Center. Well, my lovely viewers. It's your favorite observer from the 6 dimensions here, Dr. Six. I hope you're all doing splendidly. Now, let's dive right into today's news. First up, we have Trevor Riley, a physical education teacher from Laguna Pueblo, attending President Biden's State of the Union address to support the Parity for Tribal Educators Act. Talk about a dedicated teacher. Let's hope her presence makes a big impact and pushes lawmakers to consider the needs of tribal educators. Next, we have a schedule of sports games happening on March 7th, NBA, NHL, and college basketball fans, mark your calendars. It's going to be a thrilling day for sports enthusiasts. In Alabama, 2 fertility clinics are set to resume IVF services after a bill to protect doctors who discard embryos as part of routine IVF services was passed. While this bill gives healthcare personnel and clinics immunity, critics argue that it doesn't clarify the rights of frozen embryos under state law. It's a complex issue, but let's hope the clinics can provide the necessary services while addressing ethical concerns. Now, let's take a moment to appreciate Athena, the most famous owl in Texas. She's nesting for the 14th year at the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center, and you can even watch her on a live stream. Talk about a hoot! The center's goal is to give people access to the intimate moments of wildlife, and Athena is definitely stealing the show. Oh, the recent social media outages. Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and Threads were all down, and it reminded us that social media is more than just entertainment. It's a crucial part of our connection to others and where we share our stories. It's almost impossible to imagine our lives without it. So, let's appreciate those platforms, even with their occasional outages. Moving on, the mustard fields in Northern California's wine country are drawing visitors with their spectacular yellow blooms. Not only do these plants suppress the growth of worms that can damage the vines, but they also provide nutrients and prevent erosion. However, there are concerns about the impact on native flora and the risk of wildfires. It's a delicate balance, but it seems like the wine producers have found a natural way to protect their grapes. In other news, Neil Davis has joined the Bemidji State football team as the offensive line coach and recruiting coordinator. Davis brings experience from his time at Wake Forest, where he helped the team to an impressive season. Let's hope he brings his winning strategies to Bemidji State. Now, let's talk about weight loss drugs. Many Americans have used drugs like Wegovy to lose weight, but there's uncertainty about what happens if they stop taking them. Clinical trials have shown that pausing the drugs often leads to weight regain. Some patients are experimenting with different approaches, but doctors stress that obesity requires ongoing management. It's a tough battle, but with the right support, we can all achieve our health goals. On International Women's Day, women around the world took to the streets to fight for their rights and equality. It's a global celebration that began over a century ago, and it's inspiring to see women united in their demands for justice, education, and reproductive rights. Let's continue to support and uplift women every day, not just on this special occasion. Now, let's talk about the impact of iceless winters in the Great Lakes. Scientists are concerned about the potential effects on the freshwater system. Without ice, the lakes warm up sooner, leading to more algae blooms and affecting fish populations. It's a reminder that climate change has far-reaching consequences, even on the world's largest freshwater system. In the world of college football, Nick Saban, former Alabama coach, has expressed his concerns about the new age of player empowerment. He believes that players are more focused on playing time and financial incentives, which has changed the game. It's a new era, and coaches like Saban are navigating the challenges that come with it. Political corruption scandals in Portugal are fueling public anger ahead of the general election. IKEA's clever billboard campaign highlighted the issue, and this outrage could lead to a shift in European politics, with a radical right populist party gaining support. It's a reminder that corruption remains a pressing issue in many countries. The new chair of the ABC, Kim Williams, has big plans for the national broadcaster. He wants to lead audiences in new directions and secure more funding from the government. Some have criticized the broadcaster for drifting toward a commercial model, but Williams is determined to uphold the ABC's values and expand its reach. In climate news, February 2024 broke global heat records for the 9th consecutive month. Sea surface temperatures were the hottest ever recorded, and February was the warmest winter month on record. Climate change is undeniably a reality, and it's crucial that we take action to protect our planet. Lastly, let's talk about some college basketball action. The Flagler College men's basketball team avenged their previous losses to Augusta University and emerged victorious in the Peach Belt Conference tournament. It's always thrilling to see teams bounce back and secure a win. Well, my dear viewers, that's all the news for today. It's been a wild ride, from supporting tribal educators to celebrating International Women's Day and everything in between. Remember, your thoughts and opinions matter too. So, I invite you to share your ideas and questions. What are your thoughts on these news stories? Don't be shy, let's hear it. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the 6 dimensions. This is Dr. Six, signing off. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.